thank you so much for joining us here.
Okay.
It was great talking to you.
Oh, thanks.
आपका जो एरिया ऑफ रिसर्च है वो पार्शियल डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन और होमोजिनेशन से रिलेटेड है, जो मैथमेटिक्स को फिजिक्स से कनेक्ट करता है। आपका पहला क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है कि आपका अप्लाइड मैथमेटिक्स में इंटरेस्ट कैसे आया?
हाँ, मतलब ऐसा अप्लाइड मैथमेटिक्स करके कुछ डिस्टिंक्शंस नहीं था हमारे मन में जब हम बच्चे थे, एंड अभी भी आई थिंक वो डिस्टिंक्शंस हमारे लिए नहीं है कि मैथमेटिक्स, आई थिंक एवरी मैथमेटिक्स इज अप्लाइड सम वे, आइदर इट्स एप्लीकेशन इज नोन इमीडिएटली or its application will be known times later. So I just did mathematics because I liked it. It probably came easier for me. And this particular area I chose because the advisor or mentor whom I joined was working in this area. So which is why I came into this area. So that was the only reason. But I didn't have any specific choice while doing PhD that I wanted to do analysis. I was clear about that when I was starting my PhD. But applied pure distinction was not there. I just chose this area because my advisor was there in that area. I started it and I'm enjoying it. So it's.
सर, आज के टाइम में अप्लाइड मैथमेटिक्स में खासकर पीडी में एक्साइटिंग एरियाज कौन कौन से हैं जो फ्यूचर रिसर्च स्कॉलर को मोटिवेट करें या फ्यूचर में स्कोप्स का ज़्यादा हो?
See, when you look at differential equation or even partial differential equation, one kind of differential equations, and it has applications everywhere, right? You can't really make a connection between अभी ये important है, कल ये important नहीं होगा. For instance, मैं एक उदाहरण के लिए बता रहा हूँ. पार्शियल डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन में एक हीट इक्वेशन करके एक इक्वेशन है जो अभी हम मतलब हमारे फर्स्ट कोर्स इन पीडी में पढ़ाते हैं ये, ठीक है. और ये इनफैक्ट फोरियर सीरीज जो शुरू हुआ था, फोरियर सीरीज का शुरुआत इसी इक्वेशन को सॉल्व करने पे हुआ था. फोरियर वाज ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व heat equation, and that is when he introduced the notion of Fourier series. So it's a very old equation, it's already 200-300 year old equation where people have been working on it and thinking on it. But you see some 3 decades back, not say 5 decades back or something, around I think 1960s or 70s, there are people who are working in economics or economics or finance, let's say. So there is an equation called Black-Scholes equation, जिसमें I think उनको, I'm not sure, maybe उनको Nobel Prize भी मिला होगा economics का, for that work. They came up with an equation to model the option pricing thing in stock market. Now that equation is actually exactly like heat equation, but with some stochastic inputs and so on. So I don't think 200 years back people would have imagined that आज जो heat equation कर रहे हैं ये मतलब option pricing में apply होगा, imagine नहीं किया होगा. So area ऐसा है कि मतलब आज ये popular है, ये कल ये होता रहेगा, ये these things change, so we cannot pinpoint exactly. And differential equation is one such where the application comes from all field. So though you started with saying that's physics connection, it's not just physics, it's coming from chemistry, it comes from there, biology, in any engineering you take, aeroscience, everything. I mean anything that you want to understand about nature will actually boil down to some equation. Either it's an algebraic equation or differential equation. Differential equation is, you see more application because it was describing the nature much more closer than algebraic equation, which is why we feel that differential equation means that it's applied and algebraic equation matlab ye pure hai. It's not like that. Like Pythagoras theorem, why did it come? Again for how do I construct a right angle? How do you, right? I mean you need Pythagoras theorem to do that. It's again an application, though it's an algebra. So these are everything has an application. There is nothing in fact pure or applied हो, ऐसा कुछ डिस्टिंक्शन है नहीं.
सर, होमोजिनेशन प्रोसेस में जो माइक्रोस्कोपिक डिटेल में जो वैल्यूज को हम एवरेज कर देते हैं, और आप ये कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं कि कौन सी वैल्यू लूज करना सेफ होगा और कौन सी वैल्यू क्रिटिकल पॉइंट्स पर है?
नहीं, उसका मीनिंग वो नहीं है. सो इट इज लाइक ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड जैसे when we study so I give an example of heat equation, right? So heat equation जब हम if you want to understand, so there is a material और उसमें heat flow हो रहा है. Now the conduction of heat depends on the material, right? So if it's an ion, there is a conductivity for that. So it depends on the type of material in which you are studying the heat conduction, right? So homogenization, when you do averaging and so on, it means something else, where you are trying to understand the same process, but it's not one material. So it's a mixture of one or more material. So then the properties change. Right? So then the properties change. So you want to optimize the property. So you want to mix materials in such a way that that the final, so final performance of the material is what we decide for. So in that sense, this notion of averaging comes in. So we don't choose the averaging. It is trying to understand what is already there, or how to. And one is understanding, and one is how to construct materials in the way we want it. For instance, if you think of an aeroplane body, right, that fuselage and other things, it's made of a particular kind of material, or what we call alloy and so on. It's a mixture of material. And the property we desire for that is it should be a material which is very light, because it's a flying object, but it should be sturdy and strong enough to actually take the load and everything. So it should be strong and it should be light. But usually you see in nature what we find, something that is strong is not really light, and something that is light is not really very strong. So can we make a material like that? So all these questions are there. So these are the questions which engineers ask, physics ask. Now when we try to make these things, when we try to understand, study the property of these things, right, what do we do? So we have to study these, we have to convert it into, we have to kind of model it, which actually becomes equations or inequalities. And then we try to, and this notion of existence of solution and everything is actually to understand the behavior. Can we predict everything about this material for all time and for all possible conditions and so on. That's what the idea is. So homogenization is studying not just one material, but mixture of materials.
इससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन था कि रिसर्च खासकर अगर पीडी में चल रही है तो चैलेंजिंग फेस क्या होता है, एग्जिस्टिंग प्रॉपर्टीज का, यूनिकनेस का, कि रेगुलरिटी का? सबका
होता है। कुछ इक्वेशंस का यूनिकनेस तो बाद में आता है, पहले तो एग्जिस्टेंस प्रूव करना है। पहले जब भी एक इक्वेशन है, पहले में पता होना है कि सॉल्यूशन है या नहीं. So that is one basic question. And why do we want to understand that? Because if I know solution, and solution में भी existence दो तरीके होते हैं, जैसे लोकल सॉल्यूशन होते हैं, ग्लोबल सॉल्यूशन. लोकल मतलब मुझे सॉल्यूशन पता है, बट मतलब कुछ ही समय के लिए पता है, या कुछ ही मतलब कुछ ही डोमेन, मतलब एक छोटे डोमेन में पता है. So that kind of thing, which is a local existence of solution. Global existence मतलब I know the solution for all time. So basically, can I predict the behavior of the system forever? That is called determinant. Now, existence of solution basically means that can I predict the behavior throughout, for all time? Can I predict it? कभी-कभी कुछ easy equation में होता है, कभी-कभी नहीं होता है. So पहले first question is existence. Existence, so which itself is a difficult question. Once you have existence means solution है, पर कितने solution है? नेक्स्ट सवाल ये आता है, कितने सॉल्यूशन है? मतलब अभी मान लो बहुत सारे सॉल्यूशन है. सो हाउ डू आई नो दैट सिस्टम विल टेक which solution? Right? So this multi solution is not a very nice situation, though we have to work with it, which are different solution, but we prefer situation with appropriate initial data that the solution is exactly one, because if there's one solution, then I know that I can follow that track. For instance, suppose I am going to throw this paperweight, right? And if I want to predict where it is going, which is the same basis in which we send satellite, rocket, under the same problem, because we know with all these initial data, this is the path it will take. I know the uniqueness there. Suppose there were hundreds of paths, So there was no point in performing that experiment, right? Because I don't even know where it was going. So the uniqueness is very interesting in that sense that I am able to predict something, so then I can do what I want based on my needs and so on. So first existence and then comes uniqueness. Both these are important questions. And in some cases, we don't even have existence. Like one of the, for instance, the Navier-Stokes equation, 3D, 3-dimension is an open problem for long time now, because we don't know whether there is, we have some kind of notion of solution, but the classical, that is the smooth solution, existence, we don't know. In other words, if you want to see it in terms of a generalized notion of solution, we don't know the uniqueness of what we call weak solution. We don't know the uniqueness of that. All these are equivalent questions. Either you prove this or prove that. All these are equivalent questions, but we don't know these things. So more or less they are all related. So the questions they come at different level. So ऐसा नहीं कि existence important है, uniqueness नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है. दोनों important है और कुछ केस में दोनों नहीं पता है, या कभी-कभी एक पता है दूसरा नहीं पता है.
सर आज के टाइम में मैथमेटिक्स रिसर्च में कोलैबोरेशन कितनी इम्पोर्टेंट होती है, इसके बारे में बताइए.
ये कोलैबोरेशन प्लान नहीं करते हैं. कोलैबोरेशन इज लाइक दिस. Collaboration is like I am working on something. If I can do it myself, I will do it myself. But while, for instance, I do mathematics, for instance, right? मुझे बहुत सारे physics नहीं पता है, बहुत सारे chemistry नहीं पता है, right? So things like that. So if I am working on something and if I am reading something and I come up with something on which I don't have basics, then I have to go and read that. Of course I can do that. But suppose आपको पता है उसके बारे में, ठीक है, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, आपके लिए वो आसान है, you know everything about it. So when we are talking and suppose you just show me this science that you know it, you know something about it. So what I don't know you seem to know. So then we collaborate. So it is not a planned affair, right? It is not like we decide that मैं और हर्ष collaborate करेंगे, right?
करना चाहिए ना रिसर्च को और इम्प्रूवमेंट के लिए जरूरी होता है.
See, वो भी करना चाहिए, करके जरूरी नहीं है, बट करना चाहिए. For instance, when you collaborate, the knowledge is, I mean, you don't have to be expert in everything, and you can't be expert in everything, right? Even see, sometimes the perspective matters. Same thing, I will see in a particular way, you will see in a different way. And sometimes one approach is better than the other, and so on. So which works, we don't know. So it is not like we have to collaborate compulsory, or it is not like we plan, one has to plan to collaborate and so on. That is not the point. It's basically the necessity. If I'm working on something and nowadays you have internet, you can find any paper anytime because you have a good search engine, right? With all this perspective, I can find out about any subject anywhere, whoever is working at any part of the world. I can write to them immediately by an email or something, right? And if I get to know that okay, that person seems to have a better knowledge than that, I will discuss with them. So I will contribute what I can contribute from my expertise. The other person will contribute from their expertise, and sometimes it's not just 2 persons, sometimes it can be more than 2, right? So collaboration is not a planned affair, and it is not that it is compulsory, but it is good to collaborate because various expertise come in. So it depends on the problem. If it is a problem where I myself can solve it, then I don't need to collaborate.
So ये क्वेश्चन मेरा नहीं है, लोगों ने पूछा है कि प्रोफेसर का जनरली डे रूटीन क्या होता है, आईआईटी प्रोफेसर्स का पर्सनल लाइफ छोड़ के एकेडमिक और वर्क का पूरा.
हाँ, बट ऑफ कोर्स सबके लिए तो मैं बोल नहीं सकता, बिकॉज इट डिपेंड्स ऑन आईआईटी में बहुत अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट हैं. और जैसे आप मान लीजिए जिस डिपार्टमेंट में जो लोग एक्सपेरिमेंटल काम करते हैं, कुछ लोगों का बड़ा बड़ा लैब है, बड़े बड़े लैब होते हैं, ये होते हैं, सो उनका रूटीन अलग होता है, हमारा रूटीन अलग होता है. सो आई कैन नॉट स्पीक फॉर एवरीवन. एंड इवन विद इन मैथ डिपार्टमेंट उसमें भी सब्जेक्ट के हिसाब से होता है. बट इन general there is, I think everyone has this common because we all have to, our job is to teach and research, right? These are the two major jobs, right? You lecture, जब भी आपका क्लास है आप जाके लेक्चर करो, दूसरा रिसर्च कर रहा है. Now that research depends on whether it's enough for you to, I mean, a pen and paper is enough to do research. That is one kind of, I mean, for some that is enough.
Yeah.
For some you need good experimental setup, lab and everything, all that is there. So it depends on that. So routine is just that you come, you lecture, so you prepare for lecture.
Yeah.
Right, and then you prepare for your research, and if you have PhD students, you discuss with them. Sometimes, irrespective of that, there are students who come to discuss or ask questions and so on.
Yeah.
So like that. So routine, I mean, routine is this: you come in the morning, okay, and you finish whenever is your lecture, which also is not fixed, right? So one semester the timing is different, the another semester the timing, I mean, lecture timings are different. We don't have the same timing of lectures in every semester. So there is a lecture timing. During that you go and do a lecture. If you need to prepare for the lecture, you spend some time for it. If you then the rest of the time goes for research. There are of course some time goes for administration works also. So some most of them are involved in some kind of administration.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, which is not academics but administrating and parts and so on. I mean, both academic administration and non-academic administration दोनों होता है. So उसमें थोड़ा समय जाता है. So this is the routine that goes on.
सर क्या टीचिंग आपको रिसर्च में बेटर बनाता है?
I feel yes, yeah, I think yes. See, it's like like we might be sometimes teaching the same subject, maybe not repeatedly semester after semester, maybe after some periodic time. But then you keep saying the same thing, right? And then so you think about it, so it becomes fresh for you, and you see it different perspective. As you mature, you see it much better. And it's also when we teach, there are students who ask questions. Sometimes they might even ask questions which we have not thought about it, right? So all this makes you better, right?
Yeah.
So teaching of course makes you better for research. It's actually good. I mean, I think that anyone who does research should teach also. So.
सर अगर कोई स्टूडेंट्स मैथ में स्ट्रगल कर रहा हो और अभी सेल्फ डाउट में हो, तो आप उसको क्या एडवाइस देंगे?
सेल्फ डाउट मतलब?
सेल्फ डाउट का मतलब उसको एक अच्छा कॉलेज भी मिल गया, रिप्यूटेड इंस्टीट्यूट में मास्टर्स भी कर रहा है और पीएचडी में भी है, उसके बाद भी उसको लगता है एटमॉस्फेयर की वजह से या एनवायरनमेंट की वजह से?
नहीं, ये प्रेशर ऐसे प्रेशर लेते हैं हम. दैट्स मोस्ट ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, मोस्ट ऑफ दिस व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज नथिंग टू डू विद द सब्जेक्ट. It's to do with how we perceive the thing what is happening around us. एक तो दो कारण हो सकते हैं. One is that मेरे इसमें पैशन नहीं है और मैं इसमें फंसा हूँ. That is one option. If that is the case, then if you think that is the case, then you should exit and you should do something else what you like doing. One is that. But if you think, no, I like mathematics or whatever subject you are doing, I like doing that and I am doing that, but somehow I am feeling the pressure, then you see pressure is there. See, that is part of life, right? Like for instance, I like doing mathematics, I want to do PhD, but then PhD cannot be indefinite, right? The moment I join an institute for a PhD, they put a timeline, right? There is always, like MSc, there is a timeline, UG, there is a timeline. Now all these are there with some purpose. Now these things we cannot go and fight for it or something. These are there with some purpose and so on. So we have to. So this pressure comes because of this balancing out, right? So here it's only mental strength that matters. So if you believe that you are in the right path, this is what I want to do, and I am not in the wrong place. If that is what you believe, then don't take pressures and everything. One has to go through it, and we really can't predict exactly that ऐसे करने से ये होगा. ऐसा नहीं है. Like we don't have a differential equation for life, which if we solve and if a solution exists, then we can predict life forever. वैसा differential equation अभी तक हमारे पास है नहीं. So we really can't. So don't take, the only advice is don't take pressure. Just you should only ask this question whether you are on the right path, whether you are on the right domain, wherever. So जो भी आप कर रहे हैं उसमें आपको पैशन है या नहीं. अगर if the answer is yes, I am in the, this is what I like doing, then you pursue doing it. जो भी होगा face करके, go ahead, that's it.
That's it, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Okay.
It was great talking to you.
Oh, thanks.